Join us for a review of the Audi e-tron Sportback. Let's go! In the front we see a strong sporty styling, but almost closed is this grille because not so much cooling is needed, but I think that looks quite fancy. And headlamps start with LED, optional matrix LED are available, an interesting daytime running light definitely. 4.90 m, 16'1" or 193 inches is the length of the Audi e-tron Sportback. That's actually the same as the normal Audi e-tron, which continues right here. But this one in here with this falling roofline, that's a special thing, and the stronger shoulders for a sportier look. The wheel arches are available in black or here in grey, but also painted or painted in the same vehicle color, depending on your choice. The wheels start with 19-inch, with the S-line here, 20-inch standard. Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective, and probably the perspective the car was built for actually. With a falling roofline and so on. Then there's a small spoiler here in the top part, especially in the S-line, and also have the lower contrast here in chrome or silver color and so on. Like accentuation right there. And of course this light strip that goes all over the vehicle, that's the most prominent design feature here. Now on the hood, nice gas struts. You have two versions basically. One is called 50, the other one is called 55. But it's really confusing because it says nothing about what's to come. So let's focus. Battery size, either 71 kilowatt hours or today here 95 kilowatt hours. And then you have either about 300 horsepower or the other horsepower peak would be about 400 horsepower. And the acceleration figures then around 7 seconds or in less than 6 seconds to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour with a powerful version. Range official figures 350 kilometers or 200 miles, or then the bigger version here today 450 kilometers or 250 miles, but only if you keep it really steady. And here in the front you have a small frunk storage for your charging cables. And the charge port you open right here, that's a cool function. Here on the driver's side, AC and DC charger. DC up to 150 kilowatt, AC 11 kilowatt, optional 22 kilowatt. This is the S-line interior, soft touch at the inside of the doors here, and also a nice Alcantara inside, and high quality galvanized buttons with clicking sounds for the windows, cool. S-line entry badge, and then there are different seats available. You get for the e-tron and e-tron Sportback a base fabric seat. I would go for that one, save money and also have the best climate comfort. Then there's a sport seat with more bolstering that is also available in the Alcantara mix, but already some animal parts. And then there's like a multi-contour comfort seat, and this one here, the integrated head restraint S sport seat. And these top two seats, these top for the extra list, they are only available with animal skin leather, or at least with parts. Here this seat is also available with some Alcantara parts, but yeah, especially when the electric vehicles tries to be more sustainable, you should then stick with the base option and go animal free. Here the steering wheel with these two gaps, specially designed for the e-tron. Soon more deals to that. What we have there, digital instruments you can already see, and we'll go into the details there very soon. Now getting in the front, not too much difference between the Audi e-tron and the e-tron Sportback, because still with 1.86 or 6'1", you have a lot of headroom left here. Unless you go for a panoramic roof, then you have a little bit less headroom, but also more light. 12.3, 10.1, 8.6 inches each. That's the screen setup, and looks everything very clean and organized. Here, horizontal stress, soft touch dashboard right here, and also this, I don't know. This insert, horizontal, interesting, e-tron. This can also be illuminated at night, soon get into the ambient lighting and so on. This one, and also special material here. It's also some kind of soft, but a lot of black piano lacquer. That's not my favorite. Soon more to the individual screens. Just want to show you once, already right here. This is here how the temperature reacts. You can click either or like this, or scroll. It's somewhat okay for a screen input, but of course menu dials would be safer while driving. You can also use voice input. Set temperature to 23 degrees.
I'll increase the temperature to 23 degrees.
So that's also working, so that would be an alternative for when you are driving. And also these screens are interacting. For example, here when you are in the GPS menu, then in the lower part, for example, you can write either single letters or you can directly write a couple of letters here like this, for like B, Berlin. Then it's also appearing in the top part, but you can also use the voice input for that. And then the shifting lever is kind of strange. You pull backwards like this for the gear, forward for the reverse, P at the side, at least nice clicking sounds. And then this open area right here in the lower part. Why? They said it's like a floating area, but no, it's not floating. It doesn't look like it. It just looks unfinished, and then some cup holders in there, smartphone right there. Not sure what to make use of it. And here we are with the digital instruments. You can also see this one here is not an unrealistic fuel consumption or energy consumption in this case. So it is not a very efficient electric drive. That's the thing. Sumo to range and efficiency and so on when we drive the vehicle. What's cool with the digital instruments, you have the different views you can set here. It of course makes more sense when you have the map mounted, and you can go all the way with the map here on the screen and zoom in and out with your thumb. One of the best virtual instruments here by Audi, I think. And about these digital mirrors, you can see it's placed rather low inside the vehicle, so you have to look down a little bit, and then you can control either this here, for example, up and down, also left and right, and so on, or then click here, and then you actually adjust from here the other screen at the passenger side. And now more details to the screens. Here again, you can see how you can change the camera. Again, sliding is actually the easiest way to do that. Also seat heating activation in the lower part. And in the top part, let's take a detailed look here at the GPS map. You can get it also with the satellite view, and that looks very impressive, pretty cool. And it's also decently fast. They have a good processor unit here in this vehicle. Once again, the Apple CarPlay, how the integration is done. So everything quite fast. Now getting in the rear, shoe tab, and with 1:86 or 6:1. First of all, plenty of legroom left here when I have the seat to my driving position. Good result. Then also headroom wise, that's still okay, although we're in the Sportback. What do we lose in the Sportback in comparison to the normal e-tron SUV? About 2 centimeters or an inch. And headroom, I can also go a little bit further back with my head, and it still works, so tall people can sit in the rear. And the trunk area, instead of 600 liters, you have 555 here in the Sportback version of the e-tron, so a little bit more limited here in the height, but you still get along with it quite well. Not such a high loading sill. The standard trolley also fits in a vertical way. Maybe push it like this, and then it's fine actually. Then below this area here, you have even more space. So actually quite a lot of space, goes quite deep in there. That's quite cool. You can also store your cables in the back then if you prefer that. The width here is actually a little bit more than a meter. The normal trunk length is 1.08 meters. Welcome here to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Audi e-tron Sportback. Of course, all electric driving, and it's always a pleasure, and can just repeat, driving electric vehicles, no matter if you're like the average car customer, if you like performance cars, if you like comfortable cars, just from a driving experience alone, the electric vehicles are indeed always better. Besides, when you have pleasure hearing like a V6, V8 sound and so on. That's the only thing. But if you look at everything else, the electric vehicles really deliver you the best driving experience. You have a very spontaneous acceleration, the speed is always there. Then you have so much silence in here, especially if you have like a sophisticated Audi big SUV here with the optional sound insulation pack, which we also have in this vehicle, and it's super silent in here. Blind spot monitor is definitely very helpful, and they are integrated here in these digital mirrors. Again, you do not have to go for the digital mirrors. It's an option right here, and I still think it's not a useful one, because when you look here, that would be my view to the side mirror like this. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, and to the view here to the screens would be like this. So it's like, you know, not this but this. So you will look more down, and I think that's irritating you. It's not, you cannot switch that fast to the front again. It's not that intuitive, and just how, you know, how the brain is being programmed, you know. We're very used with mirrors and so on, and even if you get used to this, been testing it at bright daytime, really a lot of sunshine, and also at night, and at both situations it was really bad. So I think it's not a technological advancement here to have the digital mirrors. It's just playing around with technology without a real use. I think it's a dangerous technology, period. So that's my take on it from my experience. Maybe you're the biggest fan of it, then feel free to explain that to me. But once again, driving this one here is so flawless. We have the air suspension, 20-inch wheels mounted. I think that's still somewhat of a compromise. I would not go bigger. Better even for comfort, of course, if you go with 19-inch, for example, or even smaller. Always depends on how is this, there's a trade-off between the looks and the comfort. Now, going downhill about recuperation, I can just leave the foot off the throttle and then use the brake pedal. Then I see charging here in the digital instruments. So the recuperation in 90% of the cases in everyday driving life, recuperation is being used instead of the normal brakes, Audi says. And I can just confirm that looking at the instruments and also general electric driving experience. The other thing you can do is also change the recuperation here with the pedals. So when I use the left shifting pedal, so to say, I can increase recuperation. So when I lift my foot off the throttle, there's more recuperation, and it's more coming closer to a one pedal feeling in driving. But that's not the Audi philosophy as for the electric vehicles, not like Tesla with very strong acceleration and so on. As dynamic mode, just rolling here, we do a rolling start. It's always a little bit safer here. We are in public traffic after all. So let's see, and we go from about 30 kilometers an hour, and let's go. That's 200 kilometers an hour or 125 miles an hour. You see, like the last bits, that was slower than you would have with a performance combustion engine, but the acceleration before that, especially in the lower speed areas, superb. And again, driving 190 kilometers an hour now, and it's so silent in here, and we're not hearing any engine sound that would actually cover something or so. We just hear wind noises. That's something like a little bit biased than with the electric vehicles sometimes. Really so well done, great insulation, and also how stable the car is here at higher speeds. That's really great. Now on the brakes, good feeling here, but still most of that was done once again by recuperation. By the way, if you have the adaptive cruise control set, there is more recuperation, because the adaptive cruise control combined with this predictive function knows when the next traffic sign is changing speed, or if there's an intersection coming or something, and then the adaptive cruise control reduces the speed, but then by recuperation again So this is another very helpful feature that can also reduce consumption and so on. And now to the conclusion for today with the Audi e-tron Sportback. First of all, exterior-wise, pretty aggressive front and yeah, I mean, pretty fancy, I think. The side profile is just matter of preference if you rather prefer the normal upright style or this SUV Coupé style. So tell me in the comments which one would you go for, but I think it's the same question of, for example, BMW X5 versus X6. You know, some like the styling and some others really hate it. It's really polarizing, this SUV Coupé form. Also depends a little bit on the wheel choices as well. And the color here is pretty interesting, but of course not the most daring color that is possible. Driving wise, it's really such a flawless vehicle. It offers such a great combination of sportiness and comfort due to this electric drive. You have the silence on the one hand, then the performance on the other hand, and together also with the optional insulation package, which is a really good thing. So such a silent vehicle, one of the most silent cars overall, also at higher speeds, and the driving experience is so well done. So I really love it about this vehicle, and of course in general about electric vehicles, but here the comfort you get and the sportiness at the same time is really at a very, very high level. Range, however, the pure electric range is not at a very, very high level, so they could do a little bit more to that, because it's not the most efficient car if you look at the energy consumption. And what's also missing when we talk about efficiency or sustainability are animal skin alternatives in the higher seating trim levels. Overall, a very interesting car and an awesome drive. Tune into more EV episodes with the Audi e-tron without the Sportback, for example, Tesla Model X, Mercedes EQC. So we have a lot of different other electric vehicles you can also tune into. See you there or at one of our next full reviews. Stay tuned, stay subscribed. Thank you so much for tuning in.